Thank you for joining us today for our Economics Design podcast. Today, we're joined by the team from Solcraft to talk about their new blockchain-based game. I'm Rob Carroll, Senior Gaming Consultant here at Economics Design. I work with developers to help create dynamic economies, find ways to improve their monetization, and overall ways to just optimize the games that they're creating. So one of the things that we'd like to do is talk with developers like the gentleman that we have here today to kind of learn about their journey, learn about their games, and see if we can get some insights into how to make great games. So with that, gentlemen, if you would introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about Solcraft.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. My name's Steve Dufour. I'm one of the co-founders of Solcraft. I specialize in the business development side of things. Been in Web3 for quite some time now. I started out just as an enthusiast, really, and got a little bit more involved with a couple of projects. And one thing after another, I ended up getting linked up with Parlay NFT, one of the Solana-based NFT projects, and I helped him to launch. We did a few mints and eventually took over the launch pad that they had started out with. So my main focus was to find new and upcoming interesting projects to help launch them. And that's when I stumbled across Solcraft. Found I just vibe with it really good. It was an amazing project that I really love the art and the lore and the entire idea behind it. So really latched onto it. One thing led to another, and here I am, a co-founder. So but G here is also the other co-founder, so I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks.
Yes, hi everyone, and thanks Rob for the opportunity to talk about Solcraft. I'm Gilles, also known as Coderius by the Solcraft community. I'm in charge of the game development, and I've been working on this project for now about 2 years. I'm responsible for delivering the actual games that you are playing. So far, it's a demo. We'll talk about that a bit later. That includes creating the levels, managing the 3D models, some animations, creating the user interface, and writing the code that runs the game. If you are looking for more information about Solcraft or my other project, you can find more information on our Discord or directly through our website. It's solcraft.online. And if you are interested in making your own video games, you can also follow my tutorials on YouTube under my nickname, Coderius.
Well, thank you, guys. So I guess kind of start things off. Tell us about Solcraft.
Yeah,
Sure,
what
G,
to
you want
start
to
with.
take that one?
Yeah, I can take that one. So you mentioned, Steve, a little bit earlier that you really like the lore, the look and feel of the game. And so what we wanted to do with Solcraft is more than creating a game, we wanted to create a universe. I'm really a big fan of heroic fantasy. I like magical universe, orcs, elves, all these mythical creatures. And so we wanted something that resonates really well with the heroic fantasy fan out there. As for the game, it's an action RPG in the style of a hero defense game. You control a hero, and the hero has access to various spells, equipment. And the main loop about the game is that you will control your hero. There will be waves of orcs coming from the different corners of the map, and you will have to beat and defeat these orcs. They will drop loot, equipment, and other things you can use while playing the game. What's important to know is that it's not only around the hero and the orcs. You also have minions, your dwarf miners that are collecting crystal, and this crystal is the in-game currency that can be used in the game to buy items, potions, evolve your characters, and craft other magical items.
So you're mining to earn.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. How long have you guys been working on the game?
It's been about 2 years. We started with a slightly different concept. It was actually a 2D game when we started. I had a concept for a game, and someone saw my videos on YouTube and approached me to ask, okay, that's really cool what you like. It would be really great to do that for a Web3 game. With a similar concept but to 2D, but we realized that we would be limited in terms of development. Also, with the skill set we had at the team back then to do a good game in 2D, so we moved to 3D and evolved the concept slightly. And from there, we evolved the style of the game, added a lot of content, developing additional modes and creating the universe that is Solcraft today.
Very cool. Steve, can you talk about these kind of modes and how people, actually play the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So the demo that we have out live right now is an arena kind of tower defense hero style, where waves of orcs, as Kadirius had said, come in to attack you. Now we also want to evolve that, and we're going to be releasing the multiplayer, where other players will be able to join in. With that launch, we'll also have our land integration. So a little bit about the land. You can actually be a landowner for Solcraft. And when you select where you want to go and send your miners to mine the Solanite, you go to a map selection screen where you'll be able to choose which land you go to. Now, that land will be owned by somebody who owns the NFT for that land parcel. You'll be able to control the land taxes within your own property as well, and you're going to have another element to be able to kind of play the game from a higher up kind of top down view rather than actually physically playing the game. So more of a passive way to play, but it's also a very unique way where we'll be able to allow other players of different lifestyles to enjoy the game in a completely different way. So there will be many different ways that you can actually focus on playing the game, whether it's more passively or actively. But that is one feature that we really look forward to, as well as a campaign mode, which we will be evolving as well. So the campaign will go through the story of the dwarves and the elves, and from there, who knows?
That's very cool. So you guys have had the game is actually live to some extent. What's been some of the feedback from the community, from the people that are playing it?
So far, very good feedback. So we were on one of our game launchers. We are the most played game on GameSwift, to be specific. The community members have had a lot of good feedback. Actually, even on the most recent trip to San Diego, we had a lot of good feedback from there as well. Some really great pointers that we're actually implementing almost right away, adding a little bit more direction. We're automating some of the controls a little bit more, so that it's less demanding on what you do with your miners and more focused on the hero character that's protecting them. But absolutely great feedback so far. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is using that feedback and actually making improvements to the game from it. We really value our community members and their voices. And ultimately, our goal is to make a really fun game. So obviously, it's very important to know, what the feedback is. So yeah, but overall, very good.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the community and what you guys support? You on Discord, Twitter, where is your community live?
Yeah, mainly in Discord. We also have a Twitter account, but the Discord is pretty lively. We have a lot of great, solid community members that have been around since day one, true believers in the project, and friends, really. I mean, we've known each other for a couple of years now. And as I said, we really value their input. We plan to utilize their voices for different features in the game. We've had a community member that did a really great song about Solcraft, which we plan to utilize in some regard as well. And then the memes just they never stop flowing. So if you ever want a good laugh, pop by into the Discord, and I'm sure you'll see what I'm talking about.
All righty, we'll share the link to that down in the notes. So I'm kind of curious, as you guys started creating the game, and I guess Giles, this is more for you. As the original founder that started it, how did you kind of get how was the decision made to start making a Web3 game as opposed to a more traditional Web2 style?
That's a very good question. It started as a Web3 game, so the first goal was to create a Web3 game. And as a game enthusiast, I play quite a lot of video game on halftime. I'm not developing Solcraft, and also very interested in the technology and Web3 technology. For me, it made complete sense. Many of the games I have played have some sort of economy. The game I like have that level of complexity. If you look at games like EVE Online, which has a very complex economy in the game, or some more RPG game like the era of the EverQuest to World of Warcraft, that sort of game, they always have a component of economy in them. And in all these games, what we have seen is that there is some sort of gray, sometimes black market that pops up with players trading items against the end user agreement. But it's something that always happens. It's for several reasons. Some are good, some are maybe less interesting. But as we've seen this, and always in this game, what we want and what we wanted to do with Web3 is to give that opportunity to really own and the assets in the game and give the full control over these assets and the whether it is a currency, a character, a weapon, or an item, and to extract that from the actual game and give it back to the players, and they can do whatever they want. That's one aspect of it. And what I find really, really interesting is also the cross collaboration with projects. Mm-hmm. Since NFTs are or other on-chain assets are independent from the game, once you mint them, they can also be used in other projects, and that way you can really connect a strong relationship between different projects and different passionate about a certain, whether it is heroic fantasy or other universe.
That's very cool. I like it. So you guys have been involved in Web3 and in blockchain now for a few years. What are your thoughts on where we're at today, and hopefully where we're headed in the future?
I think that the narrative is often shifting, and we know it goes through a 4-year cycle. I want to focus more on the actual game design of it than the crypto market, you know what I mean? Because that'll be up and down no matter what. But what we really are focusing in on at Solcraft is the actual gameplay and the technology behind it. And as G had mentioned, not just interoperability, but also just the evolution of items and characters from one point to another, where they can all potentially have a lifespan and evolve over time and add features to them, upgrade them, and it's almost like they're all living. They all have their own path to take, and depending on how you use them or what you do with them will influence what they actually do within the game. So there's a lot of really interesting concepts that you can do with interoperability with other projects, and maybe gaining boosters or different buffers from different weapons or characters that you've actually had go into those other games. So great way to cross-pollinate and also just have value in other games for your asset that you might own.
I think that's a very smart system. So this kind of cross-pollination, have you spoken with other developers? Are you guys, what's the kind of the process that you have in developing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I really bring to the table is my connections with a lot of the other projects in the Solana ecosystem. So we have very strong connections with some other really big name projects that we've been very vocal about on Discord. I'm not going to focus too much on name dropping here, but we've established relationships. They've all shown keen interest in this type of interoperability. Once we get to the point where we have the skeleton built and what we need to take one asset and plug it into another game, once we have that framework done, then the opportunities are endless. So I'm really excited about it. I think that some of the projects out there, they're building some of this framework as well, but we're also seeing the actual blockchain itself starting to develop some of these systems too. They see a demand and they respond and they start creating it for us. So really a great environment for game developers to be in. I think it's a very interesting time.
That's excellent. So you mentioned that you guys are developing on Solana. What has been your kind of experience in working with them, and was there a reason for picking that chain over somebody else?
Yeah, sure, I can take that one. So Solana, we really started with Solana for several reasons. So first, it's really fast. Once a transaction is executed, it's recorded almost immediately, and as a layer one, it's really cheap. So these were the main reasons. But as we started building with the Solana, we also realized that the community around gaming and NFT on Solana was really strong, and we have seen that also with the organization of Solana Play GG, for instance, in San Diego, where we met. So it shows there is a lot of energy around this blockchain that supports a game. And so another point that supports that narrative is that the announcement of Solana of Game Shift, which will be an entire ecosystem to support game development, and we will be alpha testers on that platform, and really looking forward to share more about this.
Yeah, and just to put out there, this we're not sponsored by Solana, but if you guys would like to sponsor us, you can reach out. We'll have contact info. But yeah, we just kind of it is interesting to hear why developers choose one chain over another. I know we work with quite a few different projects out there, and there's definitely pros and cons to all of them. So it's great to hear that you guys have had a really good experience working with them. I'm kind of curious. We've talked to other developers, and there's always a wish list of things that they wish the blockchain could provide them. If you guys had kind of a magic wand and you could wave your magic Web3 wand over the chain, what would you guys like to see as game developers be available to you?
Well, I think my first wish would be to improve the reputation of Web3 games, because we've seen a lot of, let's put it that way, Web2 players are still reluctant to play Web3 games for several reasons, whether it is security, understanding Web3, onboarding, and also the quality of games. There was a phase with really a lot of games coming to the market. Not of them as a player, I would not play many of them. So I really hope that with better quality game and a slightly different stance on what is Web3 gaming, I think we could go a little bit further with Web3 gaming.
All right.
I would echo that. Yeah, I think it's a very good point that G makes, just with the general opinions of it. And I think that was one of the things that really helped us with Solana, is that they already had this really broad ecosystem of NFT enthusiasts. And that's what we really harnessed to give ourselves the jump start and get us actually started in the project. So without that, it would have been tough to try to upsell this Web3 to the actual Web2 gamers until they fully understand, what the potential is. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think it's important to really dig through and to understand what it is and what it offers us as players, not just developers, but the actual players that are going to be utilizing the technology. So,
all right, thank you very much. I like the vision there. I think finding ways to bring more players into the community is very important. And I know a lot of projects are working on, not only building that trust, but also building ways to onboard a bit easier. So I think, as we go along, we will definitely see more people join the community, and having great games like Solcraft, I think, is going to be very important for, growing and keeping people engaged and interested in Web3. So you touched a little bit on, some of these features that you guys were looking at for Solcraft down the road. Right now it is a hero defense game where your hero is there. He's defending the miners as they collect the Solanite. And then you talked a bit about this kind of overview version where you're able to control kind of the bigger picture. Can you guys talk a little bit more on any of the other kind of differentiating features or the kind of fun gameplay that you have in mind for Solcraft?
yeah, absolutely. I'll touch on this a bit. I'm sure G's also got some things to say, but one of the main things that I would say Soulcraft it really brings to the table is the modular type of ecosystem that we'll have. So the items, the characters, the pets, the land parcels, everything is an NFT. So one of the biggest features of our DeFi element of the game is going to be our crafting station. So being able to collect these items, sending out pets on missions, using these things that you're gathering to create new and improved items, I think is going to be something that is really, really important, not just for Soulcraft, but for other games to look at and say, wow, this framework really makes sense, and we can really utilize this for a bunch of other games or what we want to design as well. So I think like the modular type system is really going to be something that's going to be a big draw to Soulcraft. But also Web3 as well. And like I said before, is the evolution of those items individually and as one. So utilizing Web3 allows us to do this and to give the player the ownership over these items and control as well, and how they evolve these items. It's not just going to be a set path. There's going to be a lot of directions that you can take. There's going to be a lot of different ways that you can play this game, and even over and over again with different experiences every time. So.
Yeah. To follow up on that, what is important to mention is that what we want to do is to give a game experience whatever amount of time you have to play. Whether it is a short amount of time, maybe on a mobile app where you can send your dwarfs or some of your NFTs on the mission for staking and get some rewards, or have a few hours or to play with your friends on an evening. You can play online in the cooperative mode, or if you just have maybe 5-10 minutes, you can go play a mission and also evolve your character that way. And that way we will try to mimic what's happening on the GameFi, not in the game. So when we were talking about these two modes, so what happens outside of the game, like staking, sending your characters on mission, collecting material, will be almost the same on the game in terms of reward. So, but they will be a bit more interesting because you involve more time in playing the game. But we want to align these two worlds, and so whatever amount of time you have, you can still have a good experience with Solcraft. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I've seen with the development that you guys have been working on, it is very important for developers. When you're talking about player ownership and you're talking about having all of these different elements that you can own and trade. You talk about land and creatures and pets and all of these different things. Understanding the economics behind all of that is definitely obviously a big challenge for a lot of developers. How did you guys approach that? Obviously from our point of view, the economy of these games is something that's very important. And I was curious to kind of get your thought process behind the design of Solcraft.
Yeah, sure. Steve, if you wanted to add on this, but so the way we have designed it is that we have different components in the game that are used in crafting with different tierings, and also Solanite, the main currency in the game. And so as you extract the resources from the game, whether it is with the GameFi or in the game, you can start building other resources that are then used for different level and different also tiering in building equipments or crafting items, evolving your characters. So the low tier items will be used to craft potions or the consumables, things you use every day, and you will also use them in higher tiers for creating advanced modes for your weapons and some other more unique features. So there will be a tiering, so with a utility for each tier of these different items.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll just add that we'll also have functions where you can trade off some of these items. And as G had mentioned earlier, instead of shunning the black markets, we'll endorse them. In fact, we'll actually provide a platform to do that, where you can buy, sell, and trade these items. It'll help to control the ecosystem a little bit better and stabilize it. So that way, if there's a group of people that are really low in a certain material and there's others that have a really high amount of that, we give them the means to trade it back and forth, or even have a central exchange where you trade maybe 4-to-1 on the base items. That way, it allows people to still develop, even if they don't have the appropriate land parcels or dwarf characters to get the appropriate crafting materials that they're specifically looking for.
And it also invites players to collaborate. If someone has NFTs that are specialized in one specific resource, they will want to interact with others, maybe play together on the cooperative mode, or trade with them on the platform to make sure they have the resources they need to evolve their characters.
You guys, you touched a little bit on the crafting element of the game. Are you at a point where you can discuss that, or is that still a bit under wraps?
It is fairly under wraps still. We do have the foundation already written out. We have a brilliant developer we're working with on Web3, Rhythm, who has designed one heck of a system for us. We look forward to sharing a lot about it, but we have to be careful with what we share and when.
Absolutely.
So, G, do you want to add on to that a little bit? I got to be careful.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
notorious for sharing too much.
Oh,
So
he disconnected. Oh, sorry about that.
No, sure. One thing we can already share is about how the items like the sword or armor work in the game. They will have also different tiers, like NFTs with the rarity, with a common item, rare item, epic, artifacts, depending on how good they are. So that's based on luck also, but that's not all, because once an item is obtained through the game, it's possible to craft it and improve it with different mods. The system works like this. So common item with common rarity, they won't have any mods. But as soon as you start having a rarer item, like a common item, you can craft and add one mod to it. Then the next rarity tier, you can have 2 mods. And when I talk about mods, it's typically a bonus for health point, or bonus in damage, and bonus in magical resistance, that sort of bonus. And so with the different crafting resources, with the materials obtained through the different missions, it's possible to craft these different items and add them to create actually unique item that fits the playstyle of the player. And of course, because we are Web3, so these mods will be tradable.
All right. So I'm kind of curious about the journey that you guys have taken as game developers. Building an indie title is definitely not for the faint of heart. Can you guys talk a little bit about the journey that you have taken in creating the game, creating the design, and building this community? I'd love to hear some of your insights and some of the experiences that you guys have had.
yeah, sure, I could lead. So for me personally, I've been a project manager for just over a decade. So, getting involved with a project from a project management standpoint has always been my strength. With the path that I kind of took in Web3, it just kind of led itself, to be perfectly blunt. It was just a very natural evolution in having a passion, chasing that passion, and getting involved with something, and just giving my time freely is how it started. And then before I knew it, I was substantially more involved than I had ever planned on being with Parlay, and here I am today, and looking to go, even a step further, and having our game at the top of the charts. So, yeah, very natural evolution. But as far as the actual community goes, it was just a lot of the community members that we have cores of, I know from other communities that have come over and know me from that, and so they trust me. We like each other. There was a camaraderie there, and I think that camaraderie has really resonated with our community specifically, and I think it's just been a natural evolution and slow build over time. We've never paid for shills. We don't pay for the Twitter promotions as a lot of projects might do. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that's not our style. So that's my 2 cents on that.
All righty.
Yeah. Being an indie game developer is indeed challenging, but it makes it even more interesting. So on my side, same, it resonated quite well with me. It felt also like a natural way of it felt natural to start making a Web3 game. So I wanted to make a game since I started learning how to code, like more than about 20 years ago now. I started being more active in 2017 after finishing some exams and having more free time, and I could not just stay idle for too long. So I started learning, going back to books, doing some Android apps. Then the crypto hype. I wanted to be involved, to be engaged, to know more about the technology, because I found it really fascinating. So I got involved in a small token community that was called 0x Bitcoin. It was really interesting. I think they're still alive, but still they live on the layer 1 Ethereum blockchain. It was they still struggle, but that was really a fantastic project. And I remember I created an automation script for one of the mining pool for that project. And from there, I really wanted to know more about Web3, how blockchain work. And I ended up creating my own DEX. It was very, very interesting. I really had to go into the details of how the smart contracts work, how to work with API, look at the different libraries that are available to interact with Web3, and on the fly also learn about web development, because that's something I never did before. So that was really something I did over a summer, but I was really happy with it. I learned so much about development in general in Web3. And as I mentioned before, after that, I started a small YouTube channel where I make some video game tutorials, and had the opportunity to join Solcraft. So it was a natural way of moving from being really liking playing games, Web3, and then having the opportunity to work on a Web3 game.
Okay. So you have your YouTube channel. You provided some tutorials and some guidance to folks. Do you have advice to somebody that's trying to get into video games, or get into Web3 gaming as a job?
Yes, 1,000 of advices. But one is it would be to like what you do. I think especially as an independent game developer, the market is extremely challenging. It's also saturated now with the availability of tools and resources to make games. So Solcraft for me is also a passion project, and I think that the best projects out there are passion projects, where we see that the developers are not counting the hours. They are more interested in providing a great game experience and interact with the community, and I think these games are the best.
Okay. Steve, do you have any suggestions for would-be game developers?
Yeah, I say, like G had said, find something you're passionate about, but then just get involved. Giving your time freely in a project, I think, is a great way to enter into this market and get into the technology altogether. Find a community that you're passionate about and get involved. Ask them how you can help out, and then stay present. You gotta keep yourself out there and keep active.
Yep, I definitely agree with you there. That's actually how I got started in the game space a number of years ago. I was working with a mod community that got funding from an angel and started creating their own game. And I had been actively kind of volunteering and doing some content writing, and my day job was project manager, and so they needed somebody to come in and lead the project and make sure that things were getting done on time. So I hadn't made video games. I didn't have a background in it, but I had a skill that was helpful to the team, and volunteered my time, and it started a very rewarding journey for me. So I think the advice that you have there, Steve, is great.
Sounds amazing.
So I am kind of curious, what do you guys see as the future for Solcraft? I know hundreds of millions of players and top of the charts and all that would be that's the eventual goal. But between then and now, what are kind of the upcoming steps for you guys?
I mean, ultimately, our number one goal from the get go is to create a game that's fun and engaging, and I think that is ultimately what we still strive to achieve. But I think ultimately, if we're able to become the flagship for other games to look at and say, "Wow, this is how you utilize Web3. This is how you give ownership to your players.
Mhm.
This is how you can create items that can evolve and be interchangeable and interoperable between other games." I think that it creates a whole new wave of technology and gaming experience that we've not seen yet. And I think that is what I want to see Solcraft achieve, so that people can say, yes, this is how you do it.
Yeah. So the future of Solcraft for me, it's a lot of work. But also, yeah, as you said, Steve, what we want is to be the reference for Web3 integration in video game. We really thought a lot about the different use cases for Web3, and we can really pinpoint them one by one to some of the modules and the utility we have in the game, and that's very important for us.
As you guys are growing, are there any roles that you're looking to fill currently for people that are listening and are interested in joining an exciting and up and coming studio?
We are looking to bolster our artists for 3D rendering. That's definitely something that we're actively seeking now.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, what do you think?
Yes, 3D artists is one of the main items. Something we want to improve and increase the level of the art throughout the game. A second Unity developer could help as well as concept artists. There are a few things we have in the pipeline to grow the project indeed.
What's the best way for folks that are interested to get in touch with you?
Probably our Discord. We're most active there, but we are regularly checking Twitter as well. So our personal accounts, as well as our Telegram, seems to be the platform of choice for more professional level. But if you're just looking to poke around and ask some questions, I would suggest going to the Discord.
Alrighty, and as I said, we'll have links to all of your different contact methods down below. As we kind of wrap things up here, do you guys have any thoughts that you would like to share with our community on on your Web3 journey and what you see happening in Web3?
Yeah, sure. So we again, Discord is the place to follow on the news, on the development news. There will be more coming in the short run about the updated GameFi platform that we are building. So we will be posting soon, as soon as we can, more details about how it's going to evolve.
Mm-hmm. Steve, anything you want to throw in on your Web3 wish list?
You know what? I think just like I said earlier, don't focus necessarily on the market cycle, but I would say focus on the technology itself and what it can bring to gaming experience from an enjoyment standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we really want to focus in on, and that's timeless. That's something that's going to evolve, and we're going to build on this for years to come. So I think that's where we're going to stay focused and really hone in on what we plan on building.
That's great. Do you guys have any parting thoughts or anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
No, looking forward to working with Economics Design. I appreciate you, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
It was great to have met you in San Diego, and our conversations carrying on, and you got some great input. So I appreciate you. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
Solana network as well, and looking forward to getting involved with Game Shift and being the part of their alpha testers there. So
That's very cool.
Yeah, same, Robert. Thank you so much for taking the time, for having us here today, and looking forward to working with you on the game economy.
That's great. We are excited to have you part of the Economics Design family, and I am expecting great things to come from you guys in the future. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you guys talking and spending the time today, and appreciate everyone joining us. And thank you.